If you like to make your NFL games a little bit more interesting, you've come to the right place. It's the Even Money Podcast with Ross Tucker and Steve Fezzik.
Yeah, Vegas, baby, Vegas. It is the Even Money Betting Podcast, the show that's so nice, we do it twice every single week now. Tuesdays, bright and early. Steve Fezzik and me, Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman, current broadcaster. We give you all of our bets against the spread, the totals, and obviously some long teaser legs typically. Thursdays, we start with the line moves, which are critical. Then we have Dr. Chao from SixScore.com. Dr. Chao, always presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. He gives us the injury information that hopefully gives us an edge in a few of these games. And then a lot of times when we get into the props and parlays with Steve, we are able to use some of that injury information from Dr. Chao that we glean on this show. Steve, of course, is Steve Fezzik, the only two-time winner of the Super Contest out there in Vegas. Highly recommend that you follow him on social media at Fezzik Sports, primarily because he's hilarious and he'll go after people. He's the great Steve Fezzik. I'm at Ross Tucker NFL. We are at Ross Tucker Pod. Steve, we got to start with some of the line moves this week that have been notable here. The first line move that really jumped out to us is going to be the Colts in the London game. It was -6. Now it's gone up to -6.5. Maybe there's some injury information that we'll get from Dr. Chao momentarily. That could be a factor. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and I can tell you the SIC injury folks do prefer the Colts. Got to be honest, if it does go to 7, which it may, I might get involved with Atlanta at that point in time. But you know what? The O-line injuries, and Dr. Chao will talk about that, probably going to keep me off this game.
Got it. Okay, in terms of other line moves, the Jets-Browns. How about this one, Steve? I'm so curious, okay? The Browns were the underdogs. Now they're favored by 2.5. So I got the Browns when they were getting 1.5, and I made them a teaser leg up to 7.5. We've now seen a 4-point swing from +1.5 to -2.5 after the trade deadline with the trades of Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams. We don't see this very often in the NFL. Beyond curious to get your thoughts on what to do now that the Jets are now +2.5.
Yeah, well, if there's one thing that we've marketed on this show, whenever a game is lined close to pick 'em, and you can tease one team up above +7, and then later in the week you get the opportunity to tease the other team, do it. Now, Ross, kudos. You teased the good tease with the Browns. I did not. That's still not going to stop me from teasing the Jets now. Hey, these two dudes are important. You know what? They're not worth 4 points collectively unless the team is just completely depressed. But by all accounts, the Jets are happy about their long-term plan. So I think we're going to get a big effort out of the Jets. I'm going to take the Jets in my Wong teasers, adding them with my round robin we gave out earlier in the week.
Got it. Love it. As a reminder, for those of you that forget the teaser legs, I don't have them all in front of me, so I can't even tell you all of them. I know what mine were because I wrote them down. But this is why you need to go to patreon.com/RTmedia and be a Tuckheads member, because then this way you're able to actually see all of the teaser legs. I don't get the spreadsheet from grades that you can see on the Tuckheads, patreon.com/RTmedia. I don't get that until tonight or tomorrow after Steve gives out his props and parlays on this show. I know my teaser legs, excuse me, were Patriots, Jags, Browns, Lions, Eagles. The question I have for you now, Steve, do I double dip Do I now tease the Jets in your mind?
Oh, 100%, because now you can scoop, right? So you're lessening your risk with a positive expectation play. So that, in my opinion, it's a no-brainer.
All right, so let's add that for me grades. These are all 1 unit teaser legs, by the way. 1 unit round robin teasers. New York Jets plus 8.5. So I now have 6 Wong teaser legs for this week. That's the biggest line move that really jumped out. What about the Jaguars? You know, the Jaguars are now favored by 1.5 when before they were getting 1.5 with the CJ Stroud news. You and I, Steve, we were all over that. I told you Tuesday morning I didn't think Stroud would play, which is why I took the Jags up to 7.5. Are we doing it again?
100% we are. I am going to add the Texans to my portfolio. By the way, and grades will know this, obviously, when we're talking about all these different permutations, we're not teasing the Jaguars teaser leg to the Texans teaser leg. You would never tease both sides of a game within a same 2-team teaser, but we're just taking these teams in with all the other teams. And that would indeed include the Jets and Texans teaser together this week or today.
Got it. Grades, if you have any issues on that, let me know. But yes, you can't double the teaser the same game both ways, but we are adding teaser legs for Houston plus 7.5 and the Jets plus 8.5 now that those lines have moved so significantly. What about the Bears? That's the other one that jumped out to me. I'm on the wrong side of this, Steve. I had the Giants plus 3.5. That line now is up to plus 4.5. What did I miss?
Yeah, I just think the Bears are a legitimate team. And I think the Giants, because they're in New York, are a public team, but with all the injuries that they've had, starting with their wide receiver going down, the running back, at some point, I just think it's going to catch up to them, and it might catch up to them this Sunday.
I think there's line move in the Ravens-Vikings, right? Was it plus 3.5 for Minnesota? Now it's 4.5, or is that what it was?
I showed 4, but yeah, you're right. Money has been coming in on Baltimore. Yes.
God, I'm just trying to look and see if there's any other notable line moves. Interestingly, I don't know if the Cardinals-Seahawks line moved at all with this Kyler Murray on IR news. Be curious to hear what Dr. Chao has to say about that. Here's another one where I'm on the wrong side, Steve. I had the Rams. I mean, in that game, I had the Niners plus 3.5. That's gone up a full point, where the Niners are now catching 4.5.
I got to give Dr. Chao's people accolades for that. They've been texting me. They're like, don't even think about betting the 49ers. Big differential in health between those two teams.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Niners, they don't really have any defensive linemen, but I can't change it now. I'm sticking with them to keep that game close. Another line move, I had Detroit minus 2.5 on the teaser leg. I could now get them minus 1.5. So they went from laying 8.5. Now the Lions are laying 7.5. It's a full point move in Washington's direction, Steve.
Yeah, I don't think people are betting on Washington, so they're betting against Detroit that just is not nearly as good this year as they were last year offensively.
Other than that, Steelers-Chargers has stayed the same. Eagles-Packers has stayed the same. So we move onward and upward. We'll get to your props and your parlays right after we talk with Dr. Chao. Love our segment every week with Dr. David Chao from SportsInjuryCentral.com. Just telling you guys, if you're not over at SickScore.com, you're doing it wrong. Sick Pick subscribers winning at over 59% this season on NFL so far. 70% on their 3-star spread picks. Remember, they're so confident in their sick picks that they guarantee it. If they don't win on the sick picks, they will refund your weekly sick picks subscription. SickScore.com, SIC score.com. All right, Dr. Chao. I know it's like everybody already knows it. But we got to start with this Kyler Murray news about him being placed on injured reserve, because this is really rare for a guy to miss several weeks and then get put on IR. I think I know what you're going to say, but I don't want to paint you into a corner. Your thoughts on Kyler Murray going on IR here?
Well, look, I think he's actually has an injury. He's certainly not 100%. I'm not saying they're faking an injury, but this does fall into the hiding behind health category, which is what you were alluding to. Same with J.J. McCarthy, who played great when he came back. And it's a way of, look, Jonathan Gannon has refused to say that Kyler Murray is not the starter. Every broadcaster, every colleague of yours has said they don't see how Jacoby Brissett is not the starter this week, regardless of Kyler Murray. Well, he kind of solved that problem. He's on IR now. He's not in the picture. He can clearly point to an injury, and, they've got a big contract tied up. A lot goes into coaching. I'm going to say something funny. I know this is a gambling podcast, but I get asked all the time, should I play this guy or this guy? This is real life fantasy, not fantasy, but for coaches. This guy or this guy depends on who the guy is, like the injured guy or the number 2 guy on your depth chart that isn't injured and how they're playing. There's a lot of things that go into it. It's not just blindly who's my starter. Injuries play into it too. So I believe it is another example of hiding behind health a little bit.
What are some of the other things that are separators this week or differentiators? What about like the Falcons?
Well, do we remember 4 games ago when the Falcons beat the Buffalo Bills? The helmet you've got over your left shoulder. They beat the Buffalo Bills, and everyone was in love with the Falcons. Well, what's happened in the last 3 weeks? What's happened in the last 3 weeks is more offensive line injuries. Yes, Jake Matthews, or left tackle with the start streak, is playing, but he's playing through a high ankle sprain. And he's not the only one injured. There's 3 others missing on the offensive line. And if you have that many offensive line injuries and you can't run the ball with Bijan and you have some QB inconsistency, you've got 3 losses. And the O-line inconsistency is likely to continue in Germany.
They play the Colts in Germany. So that has been an issue for them with the offensive line issues. What about the Jacksonville Jaguars, Dr. Chao?
Well, the Jacksonville Jaguars traded for Jacoby Myers not because he knew the son of the president of the team or he said hello to Liam Cohen. They have 3 wide receiver injuries and their tight end. So arguably their top 4 receivers are out. Brian Thomas Jr. With the hamstring, now ankle. Travis Hunter on IR. De'Ami Brown. I mean, they're just searching for reinforcements right now. And Jacoby Meyer, the question is, how quickly can he get acclimated to the offense? He's going to start and play out of necessity. He's in shape, the whole deal. It's just, how much of the playbook will he know?
What about the Chargers? I was on that game on Sunday, Dr. Chao, Chargers Titans, and it's unbelievable to think about like Joe Thomas never missing a snap. And then I'm watching the game and both Chargers offensive tackles go down again. Pretty much the same thing, Dr. Chao. They're just standing there blocking and some guy falls into the backside of their inside leg. Alt is now on IR. Bobby Hart, I think, had won the right tackle job, even if they didn't say that publicly. And now they're in a situation where they're once again down to offensive tackles, I guess, 4 and 5.
No question. I mean, you remember Joe Alt is great, but he flipped from the right side to the left side because of Rashawn Slater from the preseason Achilles injury. And, and now they're down to left tackle number 3 and right tackle. You're right. Bobby Hart, Trey Pipkins has just come back. He's going to get elevated back up again. And Mekhi Becton's been out. What has Jim Harbaugh been known for? His run game and his offensive line. That's the area of injury now for the Chargers. They've been making it through, squeaking by, but will it continue this week against Pittsburgh?
That's another big injury situation to look at around the NFL. Love talking with Dr. Chao every week. I guess the only other one that really jumps out to me is probably the Jets. I mean, this is a little bit different. It's more like trading guys than it is injuries. I don't know if you have anything else to add.
Oh, absolutely. Well, first of all, Garrett Wilson, I think, is a week early on return. He was limited practice so far as of this recording. Not sure he makes it back this week. Next week becomes more realistic. And let me tell you, we do, as you know, the six scores and field views and run offense against run defense. When we grade players, this is how we treat trades, unexpected trades especially. We treat trades as the player is injured because it's the first week, it's a delta, and they're out. And we treat acquisitions as a guy coming off IR, especially Quinnen Williams down to Dallas, et cetera. That's how we treated Micah Parsons, et cetera. So think about this. With the Jets, their best player in the secondary, Sauce Gardner, out, traded, injured, whatever you want to say. Their best player on the D-line, Quinnen Williams, out, traded, what do you want to say? And Quincy Williams is playing through an injury of his own with his hamstring where he's struggled enough to the point where he's lost his job. Coming into the season, what did we say about Aaron Glenn's team? They're going to win it on defense. Now the defense is, arguably the top three players from the start of the season. And let's add in Jermaine Johnson still is not right from his Achilles. That ankle, I think, was related to the Achilles. So maybe four of the top players on defense aren't really right or aren't there anymore for the Jets. And that's what they have historically relied on as their strength, at least coming into the season.
Don't forget to go to sickscore.com. Check out the sick picks. Why not? I mean, you get they guarantee it. You get a refund if your sick picks does not hit that week. Seems pretty good to me. Follow him on social at ProFootballDoc, at sickscore.com. Always appreciate the time, Dr. Chao. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ross.
More great stuff right after this. So I'm not looking to get morbid here on the Even Money podcast, but I will tell you guys, there have been some deaths recently in the news that have made me think about a lot of things, including finances, making sure you have everything in order. You know a great way to do that? It's Monarch. Big fan of Monarch. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code EVEN at monarch.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with the code EVEN. Steve is always talking about taking advantages of all of the bonuses and all of the discounts you can get at different sports books and the value that creates. Well, guess what? Monarch was named Best Budgeting App of 2025 by the Wall Street Journal. It's monarch.com, code EVEN. Cannot emphasize enough how cool the merch is at rewards.labattusa.com. Even if you're not a regular or loyal Labatt or Labatt Blue Light drinker right now, go to rewards.labattusa.com to see all the different types of merch. I told you guys a million times, the Cooler backpack has been a life changer for me. Life changer. It might even just give you ideas for things you want to buy, even if you're not a Labatt person, but you should be. Rewards.labattusa.com. Rewards.labattusa.com. Buy beer and get gear. All right, Steve, last week on your props and parlays, here's what we had. You had the Ravens third quarter -2.5. Man, you crushed it. I forget even your logic. Maybe Lamar Jackson takes him a little bit of time to get. They came out to start the second half and just dominated the Dolphins in that third quarter. So you won that bet. That was basically the thought process, right?
That, and it was more likely Baltimore would start with the ball in the third quarter also.
Oh, that's right. That makes sense. All right. Then your parlays, you had Derrick Henry under 44.5 in the first half. and the Dolphins plus under 44.5 rushing yards in the first half. Dolphins plus 4.5 with the points. That was the right side. I mean, first of all, Henry was under the 44.5. Secondly, the Dolphins should have won the first half. They totally blew it with the red zone and the turnovers. That was actually a good call at plus 255 for you.
Yes, and the Dolphins imploded in the red zone, when they were driving. That ultimately doomed me.
Then you had the Panthers in the fourth quarter plus 3.5 against the Packers. This was basically the big deficit teams, the big underdogs winning the fourth quarter. The Panthers came through for you and actually won the game. So it wasn't even kind of the logic you were thinking. The Saints were getting 3.5 in the fourth quarter, and they could not come through for you in your big underdog parlay. They were plus 264.
I so frustrating because I love plus 3.5 in the fourth quarter, and I went 0-2 with those plays, and especially Carolina that played so well. And of course, they scored right at the end of the third quarter, and then I knew I was in deep trouble.
All right, so that was last week. What about this week, Steve? What are you thinking in terms of props?
All right, well, on what's tonight, I've got 3 of them that I like. I really think the Raiders are going to go to Brock Bowers. I know this is a square ball, obvious play, but it's early in the day. I think it'll go higher. We're going to play Bowers over 67.5. I don't see Genty having any success tonight. I don't see where the holes are going to be. And look at the game script. I think the Raiders are going to be down big in the second half. I'm going to go Genty under 55.5. And I'm going to take the number 2 wide receiver for the Broncos. Dude is not putting up any numbers, but they're targeting Franklin a lot in recent games. Now that they're playing the Raiders, anyone succeeds against the Raiders. So Franklin to get 40-plus reception yards, so that's over 39.5 minus 130.
Got it. Okay, so Steve's 3 props, all for tonight's game, which is why you got to turn the notifications on this show so that you listen or watch right away and can get your props in for tonight. Brock Bowers, Raiders tight end, over 67.5 yards. Ashton Genty, Raiders running back, under 55.5 yards rushing. Bowers obviously receiving. And then Denver, second-year receiver Troy Franklin, over 40 yards at minus 130 for Steve on props tonight. Any other props, Steve, for this weekend?
Yeah, and let me finish Thursday night. I will do a 3-team parlay. I'm going to go ahead and play based upon my analysis that the Raiders are going to get run all over tonight. And so I'll go Dobbins over 68.5. I'll go Harvey over 22.5. Harvey getting carries in the second half in a blowout. And Genty to go under 55.5. That pays plus 420. So that's a running back prop for tonight. Let's go to Sunday. I want to get your thoughts on this, Ross. The Bears Odunze bagel last week. Nothing. 3 targets, no catches. I think they feed him the rock early to get him back into the game. So I'm going to play Odunze. Should be right around 5, over 5 catches, because I know he's a home run guy, but I think that they're going to start the game early, getting him some catches, getting him involved.
Wow, there's a lot of interesting things there. One of which is you basically think that the Broncos are going to kill the Raiders tonight, which is why you got the over on the 2 running backs for the Broncos and the under on the running back for the Raiders. And then Odunze, the final score of that game was like 47-43. It's unbelievable that he didn't have any catches in that game. Like, almost seems impossible. So you like Odunze over 5 catches. That's interesting that his number is still at 5, Steve, even though he had none last week.
Well, I'm projecting what it will be, Ross. So it might be 4.5, and I didn't want to lock in 4.5 because I haven't seen a number yet. So it's probably either going to be 4.5 or 5.5. So I split it and said 5. Hey, regarding the Raiders, remember the spot the Raiders are in. Overtime. Played the entire 10 minutes. Heartbreaking, gut-wrenching loss. And now they got to wheel into altitude on Thursday night. There's a trend out there. Teams that play on Sunday, and then they got wheel and play on Thursday after an overtime game have done terribly against the spread. And it wasn't just overtime. That was the full overtime for the Raiders. This is a horrific spot for the Raiders tonight.
Ooh, okay. Anything else in tonight's game?
I think we covered it.
I didn't know if you were going to have anything with Tony Franklin and the total.
Well, certainly Franklin, I'm high on, so to get 40 plus yards, and you could you certainly could parlay Franklin with any of these other plays that I like as well. I hate to give out too many parlays and too many plays, but Franklin is a play over the 39.5 reception yards minus 130.
Don't go anywhere. Got to pay some bills real quick. Well, you don't have to talk to me about live sports. Nobody likes live sports more than me. And the reality is you need the apps. You need the streaming services to be able to watch these sports live. When you got NASCAR, especially NFL, Sundays, college football games with Fox 1, you get it all live. Edge of your seat plays, jaw-dropping, high-octane moments, and that feeling like you're right there in the action. It is so nice after a game or when I'm traveling to be able to watch sports live on my phone. Fox 1, we live for live, streaming now. All right, look, we got time for a question, and this comes to us from David. I really enjoy the Even Money podcast, and you have the best ad reads anywhere. Thank you, David. I like that. I promise I've purchased lots of the advertised products. Was hoping I could ask a question for Steve. That's the deal. If you take advantage of any of our sponsors, you definitely get to ask Steve a question within a couple weeks. Does he think there are benefits to a better building his own NFL betting model? I have a quantitative background. Building it was fun for me. I work in finance. I know there's no chance my little Excel model is better than one that's been assembled by a team of MIT PhDs with an AI backbone. However, I do think having some objective data-based approach can help. Your thoughts?
Wowza, this is going to be controversial. If you bet games of the year and you bet openers, I think having your own NFL model is awesome and you're going to win betting in the NFL. If you're just playing on Friday, these markets are so efficient, and the listener nailed it. I mean, you got MIT grads developing all this high-level stuff. You're not going to win just with your own model. Oh, you will win if you have a model for college basketball or college football and you're following the MAC. So I would encourage everyone, if you really want to win, build a model on something other than the NFL, unless you're taking advantage of some of these games of the year and some of these markets that aren't traded and have lower limits that the big boys aren't, attacking and making it so difficult to win.
Good luck, everybody. Hope you guys win some money.
Thanks for tuning in to Even Money. Make sure to also check out the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.